You're watching South Asia Newsline and have the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 26th of January. India celebrates Republic Day. EU leaders attend as chief guests. India and EU set for historic trade deal amid US tariffs. And surprise and shock, Bangladesh reacts on Hasina's speech in India. And now for all the details. India on Monday marked its 77th Republic Day with a grand parade at the Kartavya Path, the main ceremonial avenue in New Delhi, showcasing the country's military capabilities, including missiles, warplanes, newly raised units, and weapon systems used during Operation Sindoor. The annual parade began with the country's President Draupadi Murmu arriving in a traditional buggy, accompanied by chief guest, President of the European Council Antonio Costa and President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen. President Murmu also conferred the Ashok Chakra, the country's highest peacetime gallantry award, to Group Captain and Indian astronaut Subhanshu Shukla, who created history by becoming the first Indian to visit the International Space Station. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other leaders were also present on the dais. Republic Day, marked on January 26, commemorates the day India's constitution came into effect in 1950, formalizing the country's transition to a republic. Central theme of this year's parade was 150 years of Vande Mataram, which opened with a cultural performance highlighting India's cultural richness and national unity. Meanwhile, India and the European Union are set to conclude talks on a landmark trade agreement amid growing global trade tensions triggered by the US tariff. Officials are expected to finalize the deal on Tuesday, creating a market of nearly 2 billion people, accounting for about a quarter of global GDP. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and other EU leaders who arrived in India on Sunday met India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar. They will also attend the first EU-India Business Forum with PM Modi on Tuesday. Ursula von der Leyen earlier in Davos called India-EU trade agreement as the mother of all trade deals. The two sides are also expected to launch a new labour mobility framework. The EU is India's largest trading partner, with bilateral goods trade reaching 120 billion euros in 2024. Reports suggest the EU is pushing for lower Indian tariffs on cars and alcohol, while India seeks easier access for pharmaceuticals, textiles and greater mobility for professionals to offset the impact of US tariffs. The pact will be India's 9th free trade agreement in 4 years. And the United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed's surprise India visit brought an indirect setback for Pakistan as the UAE has scrapped plans to operate Islamabad International Airport, according to multiple media reports. Abu Dhabi shelved the airport operations plan after losing interest in the project and failing to identify a suitable local partner, reports suggest. For decades, bilateral cooperation between UAE and Pakistan extended across defense, energy and investment sectors. However, relations have gradually frayed amid safety concerns, licensing disputes and aging infrastructure in Pakistan. Saudi Arabia has leaned on Pakistan's military expertise by signing a defense deal with Pakistan, while the UAE has moved closer to India, signing new defense agreements with New Delhi. Recent assessments have pointed to poor governance and political interference in Pakistan's state-owned enterprises, resulting in mounting losses and privatization. Islamabad last year privatized the Pakistan International Airlines, highlighting the challenges facing public sector reforms. Moving on, political tensions are rising in Gilgit-Baltistan as activists warn that residents continue to be denied constitutional rights and control over their land and resources by Pakistan. An activist from the region said growing anger over Pakistan and China's role in the region is now shaping the political discourse. We have a report.
With elections expected in Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan in 2026, political discourse in the region has shifted from demands for provincial status to concerns over land occupation, resource exploitation, and cultural erosion. Senj Sering, president of Washington-based Institute for Gilgit-Baltistan Studies, has said. Speaking to ANA, Sering said the people of PGB have participated in ad hoc political processes for over 5 decades without constitutional rights or real political benefits. He noted that communities now increasingly question Islamabad's control and denial of meaningful representation.
Implications of letting Pakistanis deal with our affairs is that it is a direct attack on our cultural identity and direct attack on our connection and our emotional link with our ancestral land. So I think that is something that local people would like to maintain, and it can be maintained only if they expose Pakistan for its occupation and also push and would force it to withdraw from our lands. So that is some kind of that is on top of the mind of the local people. They're obsessed with this issue, and I think this is going to be taking most of the attention of the whoever is trying to be representing the people of Gilgit-Baltistan.
Sering alleged Pakistan and China are controlling land and resources under the guise of development and CPEC, leaving locals without constitutional rights or representation. He further alleged a media blackout on PGB and urged the international community to take note. He concluded that constitutional rights remain impossible unless Pakistan withdraws from the region.
What Pakistan and China were doing was they were trying to occupy local lands and deprive the local people of all the revenue from natural resource extraction and from trade and transit with Central Asia, Russia, and China. And in the last few years, what they have seen is that large swaths of their local lands have been taken away in the name of development, in the name of multi-corporation investment.
And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh has said that it was surprised and shocked that former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was allowed to deliver a public address from New Delhi, warning that the move could fuel political instability ahead of elections in Bangladesh in February. In a Facebook post on Sunday, Shafiqul Alam, press secretary to Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus, said Hasina has been convicted by International Crimes Tribunal of Bangladesh, and allowing her to speak from Indian soil constitutes a clear affront to the people and the government of Bangladesh. He added that the development could seriously impair bilateral relations. Hasina, who has been staying in India since her government was toppled during a student-led uprising in August 2024, delivered the address on Friday, sharply criticizing the Yunus-led government. She described the administration as fascist and claimed free and fair elections would not be possible under his leadership. The address marked Hasina's first public speech in India since fleeing Bangladesh. She also called for a UN-led impartial investigation into developments allowing her ouster. She also called for a UN-led impartial investigation into developments following her ouster. Bangladesh has asked India to extradite Hasina multiple times, but New Delhi has yet to comment on the request. And the alliance between the Nepali Congress and the CPN-UML has swept the National Assembly elections held on Sunday for one-third of the upper house seats. The Nepali Congress won all 9 seats, while the UML secured 8 seats. 1 seat was won by the Loktantrik Samajwadi Party Nepal, with party chair Mahanta Thakur backed by both alliance partners. The Election Commission conducted polls for 18 of the 19 seats falling vacant on March 4. Voting was held for 17 seats as Nepali Congress candidate Sunil Bahadur Thapa from Koshi province was elected unopposed. The remaining seat will be filled through presidential nomination on the government's recommendation. A total of 44 candidates contested after the Congress-UML alliance finalized seat sharing. With the new results, the Nepali Congress has emerged as the largest party in the National Assembly with 25 seats, up from 16. The Nepal Communist Party failed to win any seat and now holds 16 seats, while the UML stands third with 10 seats. The Congress and UML will contest the March 5 election separately, as Nepali Congress President Gagan Thapa has opposed electoral alliances. The Rashtriya Swatantrata Party did not participate due to the absence of voters in the Electoral College. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.